Webinar is being recorded. It is my pleasure to introduce Elizabeth Risby, consultant for the ARC of California and a person with a disability who loves technology and uses it often. Elizabeth?
Thank you. Okay. Our webinar today is unlocking technology as a key to connecting and alternative services. It will give people that we serve and providers a whole nother option to enhance their arising. It's not taken away from traditional services. It's enhancing the services. It's giving the people that we serve more opportunity to become independent, to work on their own, to have a sense of accomplishment that I can do it on my own. It's a lot about pride and dignity. So I just want to let people know it's all about the people we serve, enhancing their ability instead of always looking at their disability. Take it away, Amber.
Thank you, Liz, for that wonderful introduction to today's webinar. I agree that as we kick off the webinar, we must ground ourselves in the fact that there has typically been a digital divide for many in the disability community, and that this has only grown more apparent since the pandemic. As we have all been staying home together, technology has been the key for most of us to be able to connect to each other and the world. And even though technology may not be the answer for everybody, it has been the key for many to getting access to the alternative services that they need and desire. My name is Amber Carey Navarrete, and I am a member of the Disability Thrive Initiative team and an associate of Easter Seals, Southern California. It is my pleasure to moderate today's webinar. We have a variety of speakers here to share their ideas and experiences in unlocking technology for themselves and/or the people that they serve. Next slide, please. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first speakers, Jesus and Paula, to share their experience accessing technology through the Technology Lending Library of their regional center, the San Gabriel Pomona Regional Center. So Jesus and Paula, will you please join me?
Hi, good afternoon, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. So to get us started in this conversation, would you please share with us how you first found out about the Technology Lending Library?
I attend to the Pomona Regional Center meetings on Tuesdays, and that's how I found out Parents Place was offering the Technology Lending Library. And Elena Sanchez says that we can connect our service coordinator to obtain this iPad.
Excellent. And so were there a lot of steps involved? I know the first step was to contact the service coordinator, but what else was needed?
Well, the service coordinator will contact the Parents Place and let them know that my son, who is on the autism spectrum, has social skill classes, and then will be very beneficial for him to have the iPad.
Oh, excellent. And so after that initial support from the regional center, were there other resources you needed to access in order to be able to use this iPad or any of the other devices that you
When the
have?
regionals, when Parents Place contact us and says that we were approved to have the iPad, then that's when they asked me if we know how to use it. Thankfully, because I'm attending meetings and Jesus is in a long distance learning classes, so we have an idea and we do have internet. But they offer us to support us in case we need it.
Oh, that's excellent. And so maybe, Jesus, would you like to share a little bit about how the iPad has helped you since you had gotten it from the lending library and what you're using it for?
First off, um, uh,
He's nervous.
yes.
You said, you're here.
Oh, okay. I don't have to be using the other devices at home, especially considering that I had to start using my mom's phone at the beginning. But then it just started getting a little bit too, what's it called? Um, a little more overwhelming as she had other calls from work. And
So using the iPad was great.
yes, basically.
You can tell him that.
We already know.
No, you can tell them.
Well, and be sure to stay close to your microphone, please, so that we can hear you really well. So if I was hearing you correctly, Jesus, you were saying that before you had that device, you were reliant on like using your mom's phone or other things like that. And so sometimes when you had services that you needed or social programs or what have you, it was helpful to have that device because now you weren't either missing out on it because I don't want to put words into your mouth, but is that what you're saying? Is like because you had your own device, you didn't have to miss it because your mom needed it for work, or you
Correct.
could do it on your own? Was that what you were starting to share there?
Yes, correct.
Oh, excellent, excellent. And so, has that been important to you? What has the iPad helped you to do, and why is it important, especially right now during the pandemic?
Simple answer. It was mainly just to keep in touch with my socialization skills classes and in regards with the parents' place meetings, also known as a I don't really remember.
Yeah, Teen Titans. And he goes once a month and they meet together. November, they have a project to decorating cookies. And then he was able to watch the people who was helping him. December, they make what do you guys make?
You really want me to? Okay.
Yeah.
We just made like a couple of cookies and that's it.
Yeah, then last week I think they get together again. So that's a way to be connected with others too.
Which sounds like all of us right now, right? We need these devices to stay connected with others during this time. Otherwise, it can feel quite isolating staying at home. So were there any challenges along the way that you encountered in using the lending library?
To be honest, no, there weren't that I know of. But
And for me, it was lucky to be on the list and the first people because I know it's a limit of people to have this service. So I really, really appreciate having these meetings from the regional center to be in and informed. And then from Parents Place to have this amazing program and the technology lending library, because knowing that it's not books right now, but it's devices where they can still be connected.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Well, would either of you have any advice to others who maybe are in need of technology and don't really know where to start?
I definitely do, and the way that this is our way to communicate, to be on school, to be on meetings, to be on therapies, to be on support So I remind parents to ask, their service coordinators from the regional center, to school, whoever they feel comfortable to talk to, because yes, this is our new way to be in contact, connected, informed, educated. So ask. There is someone there to help us.
Absolutely. Any other final thoughts or comments that you think the audience here today might benefit from?
Me? Oh, uh, well, not that I know of. Just get help from Best Buy or something, Geek Squad. Yeah,
Good, good advice.
basically get like technological help.
Reach out for help, right?
Yes.
Seems like that's the theme from both of you. Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much. I appreciate the two of you speaking with us today about your experience using lending libraries. I know that you make some really good points about just getting out there and really finding the information that you need and not being shy to reach out for it, right? Whether it's the devices themselves or the supporter services or education to be able to use those things. And so I appreciate both of you for being with us here today. And I'm sure many people have, will hopefully take that advice to obtain more technology for themselves. As Paula and Jesus have mentioned, regional centers are a great tool in guiding and helping people to access programs that they may be eligible for, but they're not the only tool that's out there. There are many tools that we are going to be covering and sharing today during the webinar, and even more, I'm sure, than even that. So thank you again, Paula and Jesus.
Much.
And then if we
Here.
can
And
go,
bye.
bye,
Bye.
thank you. Great, next slide, please. Perfect. So speaking of such tools, I would like to introduce the ARC of the United States Tech Toolbox. And we are lucky enough to have Abe Raffi here from the ARC of the United States to give us a live virtual tour of the Tech Toolbox. Thank you for being here, Abe.
Thank you, Amber, for having me. And to give you the tour, I'm going to start by sharing my screen here. And so what I'm showing you now is the website, the Tech Toolbox, which you can visit at toolbox.thearc.org. Basically, this is like Yelp for technology for people with IDD. It's like that insofar as it's a directory of technology, which I'll show you. You can add tools to it. Anybody can. Most of the tools in the directory have been added by staff at the ARC or other professionals who serve people with IDD. And anybody can put rankings and reviews on tools. So let's jump in and I'll show you how to first find tools. So first, just go to toolbox.thearc.org and you can click Find Tools here or this button here. And the first thing you'll see is a full list of everything in the site, all 635 products. And you can sort this by price, the date it was added, its rating, or its relevance to a keyword that you search for here. And you can look at tools that have any kind of review or those that just have expert reviews. About 100 of these tools have an expert review that was put in by a professional, a technologist, or a person with a lot of experience matching technology to people with disabilities, or a special ed teacher, other kinds of professionals related to the product. And you can see those expert reviews here. But the main thing you're going to want to do is find a product usually. So you can search by the type of product, the goals the person is trying to achieve, their user needs, the features of a product that you're looking for, the age or the price. So under the type of product, you can first search by all products, hardware, software, or website, or you could filter for just one of those. So let's try software. Now the number of matches has gone down to 364, and you can choose the goal that you're looking to help a person achieve or that you're trying to achieve yourself. And we have these categorized according to these main categories: independent living, health, job-related goals, communication goals, interpersonal relationship goals, entertainment goals, or education goals. And within each of these, there are a lot of different subcategories. So without going through all of them, let's just look at communication. So suppose you're looking for some product, could be a device or software, that could help someone understand written information. You'd choose that, and the goal would change to reflect that. And now we're down to 24. And suppose you're looking for a product that can meet specific user needs of a person that you're supporting, or for yourself. You can further refine it to find products that are useful for users who operate devices by using different things like their mouth, their feet, their eyes, their head, body gestures. Or you could reduce this to find products that are useful to users who understand information in different ways. So whether that's symbols or pictures, simple language text, or spoken text. So let's say we want to look for symbols or pictures, maybe simple language text. And as you add filters, they pop up here so you can remember what you're looking for, and you can take them off if you want to, which will change the number that are there. So now we're down to 20. And further, you can look for different features. So touch screen, easy to grip and hold, and a lot of different features, or you could filter by operating system. You could also filter by age. If a product is targeted at a certain age group, you can find that, or you can look by price. So here's some products that are useful. These are all software products that are useful for understanding written language and good for users who understand symbols or pictures but no text. So you could scroll through these. If it's on multiple pages, you can click next to view the next page. Let me show you an example of one. So here we have an app called Bitsboard. It's free of charge. Every product shows you the total user ratings for it, a description of the product, a summary of its features, and the other things that we filtered on. And in this case, we have an expert review plus some actual user reviews. So you can read these to get a sense of, in this case, the product's strengths, its weaknesses, the minimal skills or abilities required for a person to use it well, additional information from this expert, whether it requires internet access, how user-friendly it is, professionals that might use this app. And a lot of this is up to interpretation. You know, it's subjective, and there's no way around that, which is why we created a way for anybody to put in reviews. And we're hoping that this helps people overcome the problem of searching and finding products, because we found that just the task of trying to search for products is pretty hard to do when you're just using a web search. And there's a lot of different products out there that claim to do things that really they can't do, maybe, or have different, or might be more expensive than they need to be. But we encourage everybody to come in and add their own reviews, and you can do that right on the side by just simply giving a rating, describing the goals that you use this for, your experience with it, and some other things that you can see on the site. You need to create an account to add a review, but that's a simple process. You just click sign up and enter some basic information about yourself, your relationship to a person with IDD, and your interests, and these are optional. And then you can have an account, and you can add your own reviews and leave ratings. There's one other feature of the site, which is kind of experimental, which is a recommender. So if we go to Find Tools, at the top, you'll see our new tech recommender. And this is something that we're trying to improve over time. So whereas in the previous example, I showed you how you can manually search for products based on what you already know about what you need. With a recommender, you can fill in some questions about yourself or about the person you're trying to support. And at the very bottom, I'm not going to take time to do it all here, choose Get Recommendation, and it'll produce a recommendation of products that our data shows would be statistically generally more useful to you than just random. And we got that data by doing a survey of a few thousand people with IDD across the chapters of the ARC. And it's based on a machine learning algorithm that we're trying to refine over time. So it's not perfect and it is experimental, but it is something that I encourage folks to try out. So that's basically the tech recommender. So I think, Amber, with that, I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you so much, Abe. I really appreciate that tour of the tech toolbox. So as everyone can see here, we've already shared a couple of different ways for you to start accessing the resources that you need, starting with, as our previous speakers mentioned, starting with Regional Center. Now, mind you, regional centers do have different programs and it's not the same everywhere, but it is a good place to start. But then, like Abe was just showing us, and through all the hard work of the ARC of the United States, there are tech resources that you can get access to on your own, such as that tech toolbox. The ARC of the United States actually also has some other great tools if you check out their website, and all of these resources will be listed at the end of our presentation, plus many more. So don't worry if you didn't catch it all. We'll make sure that you have what you need, and there's several different ways to reach out for that. But they also have like tech coaching. So if there's a particular device, maybe you already have something or the software, but you don't know how to use it, you can access their tech coaching, and there are a lot of guides in there to help us along the way. So now that we have introduced a couple of different resources to you, we would actually like to hear a little bit from all of you in the audience with a poll. So thank you for this slide. If we could go ahead and launch our first poll, just so that you know the polls are anonymous. You can check everything that applies to you. Just remember to hit submit at the end of it. So our first question is, what technology do you use at the moment? So smartphone, connected to the internet, a desktop or a laptop computer, a tablet device, a regular cell phone, a landline phone, internet service, or other. So as we mentioned, you might use multiples of these, so check all that apply. It does look like a majority of people here. We have about 61% have voted. Thank you for that. We aren't closing the poll quite yet. We'll give it a few more seconds. All right, so it looks like we're just about at 70%. So that is great. Thank you, everybody, for your feedback. And it seems the three top things are smartphones connected to the internet, desktop or laptop computer, and internet service are all in the lead. So let's go ahead and end our poll, and we can post those results really quick. All right, so everyone can see there the different tech that everybody's using probably today to access this webinar. All right. So next slide, please. All right, I would like to introduce Ken and Brian from Options for All. They'll be walking us through their step-by-step plan for unlocking technology, both for their staff and the people using their alternative services. So thank you both, Brian and Ken, for being here today. I'll go ahead and hand it off to you.
Hey, thanks so much. I really appreciate you being here. You can move the slide. One of the things that we are looking to do today is just to give you tech tips, regardless of the size of your organization, whether you have 25 employees or maybe you have 1,000 employees or something in between like we do. And what we're hopeful is that you'll be able to apply those and service not only a few more persons, but serve the people that you're servicing at a more tight, directed, focused means to what they need. This photo here we thought we'd share is actually not stock. This is real stuff. So this is what 1 year ago today, what we look like. This is what we had. And we decided like, okay, COVID hit, we're going to need to do something a little bit different. And we wanted to share this to let you know that anybody can turn it around with a couple of the tools that we're going to share. Slide. And so this is kind of the lay of the land. 20% of our employees had a work email address that we use through Gmail called G Suite, and 80% did not. We use it also for document sharing. And one of the challenges with that, as you know, in multiple locations, is it's not particularly secure, and it can make it a little bit difficult to keep track of documents and things that you need to share. All of our employees use their own personal devices, so for mobile phones, laptops, for daily work purposes, which also creates inefficiency because you aren't dealing with the same technology person by person. We are spending several $1,000s reimbursing employees for use of their phones as required under state law. And then the technology that we had was also old. So our spine was a little outdated. We used an outdated server that had been donated to us by someone who meant well, but it eventually got a little too old. We had this very odd Wi-Fi system that lacked routers in our office. And there was no virtual or remote service options for our participants or anything that we were doing. And so I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Brian Zotti, our Vice President of Operations, who oversees IT, and he'll share some of the things that he implemented and then what we were able to do with that.
Great. Thank you, Ken. So first we had to ask ourselves, what was it we were trying to accomplish? And our primary objective was clear. It was to keep our participants connected and engaged. And so this meant we had to transition our in-person services to a remote environment and making sure that participants and employees had meaningful interactions, equipping them with the right technology, and just as important, helping them to feel confident and to feel comfortable with that technology. And of course, as Ken described our technology environment, that was our greatest constraint. It was really an incoherent legacy environment. Next slide, please. So the next step for us was to look at a range of communication and information sharing solutions. We wanted the technology to be secure, user-friendly, functional, as integrated as possible, and not cost prohibitive. Now, many of you may have been using or use a solution called TechSoup, and that's something that we have used in the past to get great deals on top of the line, top shelf type solutions and capabilities. But we also wanted to reach out to known providers and not be afraid to reach out to the Verizons and the Apples and the Amazons. And while that can be somewhat intimidating because you think that they work largely with Fortune 500s, they're actually very reasonable. And so we sought out quotes, negotiated on prices and terms, and worked with a consulting firm called Cypress Consulting that specializes in supporting nonprofit groups and nonprofit organizations and helps them to handle and implement technologies that are really beyond the in-house abilities. And so we found that the vendors that we work with, Verizon, Apple, and Amazon, to be very reasonable and very generous in their interactions with us. Next slide, please. So I'm going to walk through a case example. As we were transitioning our services to online, we met the hard reality that we have employees that don't have internet access. And we have participants that didn't have devices that they could use or didn't have access to Wi-Fi in order to participate in those interactions and in those remote services. And so we had to figure out a way to make that equitable. And so what we did was we quickly assessed the technology capabilities and the technology devices available with our employees and with our participants. And then we took that information back and we said, okay, how do we find ways to get those devices into everyone's hands? And how do we make sure that those devices are equipped with Wi-Fi capabilities or hotspots that allow employees and participants to access the Wi-Fi? And so Verizon was, we worked with them directly. They were very amenable. They gave us a credit that completely covered the cost of our iPhones, which we gave to every employee. So we had 300 iPhones handed out to all of our employees to make sure that they could communicate with each other, they could communicate with the regional centers, and they could communicate with the families and participants. And that we could do that in a way that was safe, secure, and that we knew we would be able to support ongoing. And then we said, okay, well, what's the best way to figure out how to get iPads for our participants? And we hosted an online gala called Bow Ties and Sandals. And it generated enough money for us to buy 300 iPads that we were able to give to our participants. And so with that, we were able to give those devices and make access to our services something that was more equitable. We also were able to put into place something called mobile device management. And this is pretty powerful because mobile device management allows us to control at a central place the apps and the technologies that we want to put on the phones or on the iPads so that participants don't have to become bogged down with how to find the application, what can they use, what should they use. We predetermine that and we load it onto the iPads remotely. And then as we learn different types of technologies that are working better than others, we're able to actually load those on remotely continuously. And they also have controls to prevent employees or participants from kind of straying off into areas that might be worrisome or unsafe. Next slide, please.
And so one of the things that is important, what Brian just mentioned, that remote access tool, that also allows us to essentially support many of the participants that are living in, maybe they're in a residential setting, it's not home, maybe it's a group home, maybe it's somewhere else where it's a little bit more difficult to get support for them in person on the spot. And how we are able to overcome that a little bit is by loading it with the software specifically for them, controlling that environment, and then being able to access that pad and control it for them. And then that way we can essentially provide support for them without being with them live. One of the things that we did too, he mentioned the iPad delivery. And so we had a little fun with it where we then had our staff pick up participants or their family members and come, and then we shared with them and gave out the iPads right during.
When we say options for all, we truly mean it, and that means that technology will not be a barrier for our participants. So we are giving out iPads today to make it easier for them to connect to remote sessions and to connect with their peers. So these iPads were purchased with funds raised from our August gala, Bow Ties and Sandals, that was held virtually earlier this year. And of course, we couldn't have done this without our amazing supporters and all of the work by our tireless staff who really just make all of this possible. So it's such an amazing thing.
Yeah, one of the things to keep in mind with technology is that it's not one size fits all. And that is probably, I would say, the most important thing when you're delivering services at a distance is making these ongoing kind of personalized adjustments to each specific consumer and meeting them where they are right now. And that's going to mean, frankly, creating some new kind of service ways. It'll be, in some cases, expanding the number of hours that you're delivering services in a day. In some cases, you need to shrink the number of hours because this method of interaction has a different impact on different persons. Some can engage more for longer periods of time, others cannot. Brian mentioned adding relevant, meaningful software. I thought that was a fantastic presentation from the ARC, where you can target software that's needed based upon the particular disability a person is living with. It's really important to do that, as well as putting those device controls in that he mentioned to prevent misuse, so they're not straying off into other parts of the internet. And that's for staff and for participants, we find. The other thing was, the reason why we went with iPads and then also with iPhones is by keeping it in the same type of operating system, we essentially are able to push tech support all the way out to our frontline staff. And so they're not having to call the office because they're in the same environment. Some of the questions that a participant may have can be easily answered by staff because they're doing it repetitively day in and day out in the same adjustment. And it's also important to keep in mind any visual assistants and hearing assistants and make adjustments for those depending upon what the particular disability that you're dealing with. And in short, there's 4 ways that you want to continue to support it. Do one-on-one assistance and support. Do little mini group forums. We've done group forums both with participants and we've done group forums with staff, and we've done them together. And what we find in that, you'll get people say, oh, if I had this, or if I had, X, Y, or Z, this would help me. And then you can make adjustments there. Preloading the software. I know we've said that like 4 times, but I'm telling you, based upon like all the mistakes we've made, to share with you, preload the software. Do not ask them to do it themselves later. Do it in your office before you send it out. And then have some step-by-step guides, even things that you think, well, everyone knows how to do it. Everyone doesn't know how to use a smartphone. Everyone doesn't know how to use a tablet. And I'm talking staff and participants. So have that. And the thing is, Brian mentioned the raising funds around it. The thing is, I found we made a very specific request to the community and we shared that we had a number of persons that we served that didn't have the financial capability to go out and spend $330 on an iPad, or maybe they had an internet connectivity issue. People really rallied around it. Don't be shy about asking for help from the community because there really are a lot of great people who rally around. And then I thought I would close with a video that shows like kind of what you can do when you draw it all together, bring it together with our both the participants and staff, and we'll finish it with this, and then I'll give it back to you guys. Just a moment here.
Welcome to the online version of Options for All Film and Media San Jose, also known as the Command Center. My name is Frank Perez, and I'm the lead instructor for the program. During this unprecedented time, we are broadcasting from our home offices via Zoom classrooms. And now, let me hand it off to Austin, our amazing editing teacher. Here you go, Austin.
Thanks, Frank. My name is Austin Bean, and I'm the editing and post-production instructor here at Options for All. We're here in our bedrooms, living rooms, and even our kitchens, continuing to learn how to edit movies like a professional using software such as Adobe's Premiere Pro. And despite the distance, our students have been still creating movies while online. And we'll keep editing, designing, animating, and continuing to offer a quality education until we're back in the studio. Now, cut to...
Hi, I'm Gus Orozco, and here at Options for All, I'm the camera and lighting instructor, where students are going to learn to operate any camera, from professional industry standards to the ones they have in their pocket. With my help, students are going to be able to go on set and make films, or be able to go into their own homes and make films as well. Now next up for sound, here's Suslo. Suslo?
Oh, hey, thanks Gus. My name is Suslo Chavez. I'm the audio design instructor here at Options for All. With my help, students will learn how to use professional audio equipment on live film sets and post-production studios. They will also learn how to create Foley sounds and music soundtracks for films. Hey Daniel, why don't you let them know what you know how to teach?
How'd that get there? Thanks, Suslo. Sounds like a lot of fun. My name is Daniel Martinez, and aside from writing great jokes all day, I teach screenwriting, acting, directing, and podcasting here at Options for All. And I'm so excited because my students will learn how to write a screenplay, how to tell a killer story from beginning, middle, and end, how to act and direct in their movies if they want, and also how to make a killer podcast. But if you're gonna be on camera, you gotta know what to wear. Susan, how do you do that?
My name's Susan McKay, and I teach costume design 1, 2, and 3. Whether we're in the Santa Clara studio or the virtual studio, my students learn the importance of costume design in filmmaking, what a costume designer does, and how to design and create costumes from the fancy period pieces to the pieces they have in their own closet. Let's get sewing!
Oh, hi! I'm Patrick Scoggins, and I teach film history and critique here at Options for All. In this course, students supplement their technical film education by watching and critically analyzing moving images through the ages, with this one objective in mind. The more you know about history, the more prepared you are to make history. And now, back to you, Karen.
Hi, I'm Karen Babbitt. I'm the program manager here at the Options for All Film and Media program in San Jose, California. Times really are uncertain, but the one thing that you can count on is us. What do we do here? We make filmmakers. Right now it is virtual, but you know what? It's still hands-on. Do you want to know more about it? You just call this phone number down here, or you could also ask your service coordinator.
And you know, one of the things I always like to share is what's really fun is our students have their hand on the editing of any video that we create. And so we're able to do things and teach them as we continue to go. And so that's everything. I hope that was helpful for all of you and about Options for All. And if you have any questions, always feel free to email or reach out to us. We're always happy to help any way that we can.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ken and Brian and everybody there at Options for All for everything that you have presented and everything that you do for those who use your services now in these alternative formats. And you really hit upon such a key part of all of this, which is that individualizing of everything, that one size doesn't fit all, and that as providers, those of you who are providers in the audience, that we can find ways, we can reach out to the communities. There are many different things that we can do to support the individuals who use your services to customize and individualize and still create the services they want for their lives. And it's definitely a really fun service that you at Options for All provide. And for each and every unique service out there, I'm sure that, and I hope that you can learn and use some of the step-by-step strategy that Ken and Brian have shared to be able to get what you and all the people who use your service need to have a successful technology program for alternative services. Next slide. Now, if everyone out there would take another minute for us, we do have another poll question. And again, the poll is anonymous, and you can check multiple answers, and just don't forget to hit submit when you're done. So what technology tool or tools do you wish you had to help feel better connected to others or information? The options are the same as the last one: smartphone connected to the internet, desktop or laptop computer, tablet device, regular cell phone, landline phone, internet service, or other. Okay, we have about 40% voted. We'll wait until we get a few more people's input. Right now, it looks like tablets are in the lead. A lot of need for tablets out there. Well, we'll go ahead and at 58%, we'll go ahead and close our poll and share the results with all of you. So as I mentioned there, it does seem like tablets are very much in high demand these days during the pandemic, but a variety of other things as well here. The desktop or laptop computer, smartphones, and internet service seems to follow closely behind with the tablets. So thank you all. Thank you to everybody who participated in that poll. We appreciate your feedback. And luckily, coming up next, we have Andy, Juan, and a couple of the families from the ARC of Ventura County here with some ideas of tech and low-cost programs that have worked for them and might just be what you're looking for if you were looking for the internet service or the different devices from that poll. So thank you so much, Andy and Juan, for being here, and I'll let you go ahead and take it away, and we hope all of you in the audience find these tips helpful.
Thank you very much, Amber. I appreciate it. Good afternoon, everybody. I am Andy Mack, the Director of Operations for the ARC of Ventura County. We service about 750 people with about 260 staff in a variety of programs. Today, we're going to focus on alternative services and how do we get people connected. So looking here at my first slide, let me go back for a second. I'm going to introduce you to Juan Garcia as soon as I'm done with my piece. He's a program manager at Oxnard. And when I'm finished, he's going to introduce you to some folks who are benefiting from technology. So you can hear what it's really like to be on the other end. Slide, please. So the first thing we're going to talk about is who has the internet? There's a lot of surveys out there. This one I pulled, for example, showing you that, let's take Oxnard, for example, because that's where Juan's working out of. 80% of the folks have internet. I argue that would be a little high. So you're talking 20% of the folks out there are not getting what they need. And I feel like we should be on the same playing field. So that's where partnerships come in. Next slide, please. We're going to talk about a few of these partnerships. You have to do your due diligence. Before I get going here, know this. Partnerships that we make here at the ARC of Ventura County might be different for you because of where you are, the county, the city. So you have to do your due diligence and talk to people about these programs to make sure you're getting exactly what you need. The first program we have here is the California Lifeline program. Understand that this program is for telephone service. I know people get confused once in a while on this. It is telephone service only. Whether it be a landline in your home or cell phone, that is what the Lifeline program is about. As you can see here, they give you a pretty good discount for monthly cell phone service. Because Zoom is such a great platform and it runs on almost anything, as you heard earlier, you can get away with just having a smartphone to connect with people. Next slide, please. So in regards to the Lifeline program and how do we qualify for this? Remember, this is telephone service only, either landline or cell. As you can see here, these are the programs that only one person in the household needs to be a part of. Medi-Cal, Medicaid, SSI, Section, there's all kinds of programs where people can qualify. Next slide, please. This next slide shows a lot of other programs. There's some programs I did not even know about. So this thing goes pretty far. And what you need to do is the website, the California Lifeline website, you go there yourself and make sure that you qualify for the assistance programs. The second method of qualifying for a program is through income guidelines. As you can see here, this is this year's California Lifeline guidelines. That is your annual income limit. And those folks, if you qualify, you can get the California Lifeline program. Next slide, please. So again, those were two ways of being able to qualify for the California Lifeline program. Remember, this is telephone service only. The next three slides, we're going to talk about the internet service, right? So some folks, you do not have to have a phone line to get internet, right? I have Spectrum. I don't have a landline, but I have the internet through Spectrum. So for example, Frontier offers people low-income individuals to help with phone services. Most of the internet providers qualify folks by the same way you saw for the California Lifeline. So if you fall under any of those categories or the household incomes, you more than likely can get on board with Frontier or these other internet providers. Next slide, please. As you can see, AT&T, they too have a program for us. And as was mentioned before from Options for All, they're absolutely right. Do not be scared to go talk to big providers. As an organization, they are very helpful. You'll be surprised. Next slide, please. And, you know, AT&T gave a really good discount for internet service. Spectrum does the same thing. They're a little bit more strict on their SSI. You have to be 65 or older to qualify for that on the Spectrum side. All right, so let's talk about this. So earlier we discussed how partnering up with different companies, even larger companies, will benefit you. This is one of our partnerships through Verizon. Again, I preface this by letting you know you have to do your own work and call your Verizon rep. These numbers that you see might not be the numbers that you get. And this contract we started last year. So I just want you to know that you have to do a little work and make those phone calls. But if you call your Verizon rep, they will work with you. What we have here is a Value Point Master Agreement. This contract, the cool thing about it is, it's not just me, the Arc of Ventura County, trying to get discounts. This contract involves a few dozen other companies, big companies that have all jumped in on this contract agreement. That's how we all get this low pricing. And a lot of these major corporations do that. They have large contracts that more than one agency will be a part of. And that's what we're doing here. So with Verizon, they're giving us 4G LTE jetpacks, they're called. Go ahead and go to the next slide and we'll talk about what a jetpack is. We have a lot of folks, as we know, who don't have internet. So if we're going to get them some internet, we thought, why don't we get them this little jetpack? It is a Wi-Fi enabled device. And this is the cost breakdown that we get at the ARC through the master contract. The price of the jetpack is normally $80, but as you can see, it's only $36.19 for us after taxes. Then the service itself is $40 a month for unlimited data. The other cool thing about the master agreement is no early termination fees. If you're on the personal side of phone, you know what it's like to get out of a contract. It's difficult and you get early termination fees. In this contract, we don't have any. So if someone leaves or doesn't need a jetpack, I can turn it off without fees. I will also mention that this contract works for our cell phones, our smartphones. So we don't get termination fees on those, and our flip phones. So all of our phones, we've worked through Verizon under the same contract. Next slide, please. Here's how it works. Pretty easy. You take the device and we send it out to someone's home. They push the power button and give it a sec to fire up. And it's already been configured with a name and password, Jetpack 1, Jetpack 2. Once it's fired up, they just grab their iPad, if we gave them one, or they have their own laptop or desktop, and they go to their settings and look for their Wi-Fi signals. They'll see the Jetpack. They connect, they put in the password that we gave them, and they are now on the internet. These Jetpacks can accommodate up to 10 devices. So if there was more than one person in the home that needed engagement, certainly can do that. Is there a caveat with these devices? Sure. It's not at-home internet, 50 megs of download speed, where you could run a full Zoom meeting, let's say, with video, and that might be difficult. However, it runs just fine. Zoom meetings, and you can stream movies and whatever you need to watch. It works great. It works great. So with that said, what I want to introduce to you now is Juan Garcia. He's our program manager over in Oxnard, and he's going to go through some success stories, people served that we got this technology in their hands. Thank you very much. Juan, you're up.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you so much, Andy. So yes, indeed, these jetpacks have been benefiting our families, especially here in our community. We serve a lot of Hispanic families, And yeah, indeed, sometimes Wi-Fi will get a little expensive. So I just wanted to share a couple stories with you guys and then bring some of the families so you guys can hear personally from them what has impacted in a most positive way of these jetpacks and obviously the iPads that we have lent out. So a couple of these stories, you know, for example, today someone saw their friends through Zoom for the first time in 10 months because of the jetpack and the iPad that the agency has loaned out. Now they're actually serving you know, our community, and they're actually participating in our Zoom schedule. Another testimonial, the Anaya family and their son Ubense have been involved with our Zoom ever since we loaned them their iPad. You know, one of his favorite Zoom classes that we have here is a drumming class. We actually also dropped off electrical little drum set, and now he jams with the staff and they drum together. And I mean, it's just so beneficial. And now he's participating. And honestly, I think every single day of every Zoom meeting that we have throughout the week. You know, another testimonial with the assistance of, you know, the family, Rosa Gutierrez and her daughter Giovanna is, you know, joining Zoom meetings. You know, she shows off her artistic talents, you know, with our DIY Zoom classes. She also loves to share her jewelry that she collected from family members through the camera. Next slide, please. You know, so I wanted to invite Maria Cisneros and Maria Sanchez to share what, you know, the jetpack, the iPads have been benefiting their loved ones. Maria, are you there? Maria Cisneros or?
Yeah, I'm here.
So Maria, would you like to share for Lupe or Ramona what the devices that we loaned out have impacted Lupe or Ramona?
Yeah, well, my little sister is Ramona. She is handicapped. She cannot use one of these, any machine. And at first, when they closed the ARC and she wasn't able to go to her programs, she was really, really getting depressed. And then one of the staff reached out to us to see how Mona was doing. And they told me about the tablet. And at that time, we didn't have any internet. So we went ahead and got the internet, and they brought the tablet. They showed me how to use it. And now she loves going onto the onto Zoom, and she loves the art classes, the DIY, the Zumba. She loves bingo because she gets prizes. And she just loves to see her teachers and the people she used to go to the program with. So it's made a big difference. She's happier, and sometimes she can't wait to go get on the bingo. That's her favorite, bingo and Zumba.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much, Maria. I also do have to say, I see Ramona brushing her hair while you guys are helping her with the bingo numbers. And, you know, even when she wins bingo, you guys are flagging us down that there's a bingo,
Yeah,
you know, that she got. But thank you so much, Maria.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys. You guys are the best.
Thank you. Thank you. Maria Sanchez, would you like to share anything with us, please? Can you hear us, Maria? No, I think you're muted. Yeah, we can't hear you, Maria. Oh no, what a bummer. We could see your lips moving, but we can't hear you. So Maria, I'll go ahead and share the story if it's okay with you. Just nod your head, yes? Okay, so Maria and Lupe, who, if you guys can see them right there, it's a different story. You know, Lupe is living with mom, and again, because of prices on Wi-Fi and technology, they couldn't afford it. So with the whole shutdown and everything, we had to figure out how we could connect with Lupe. So we started off by one of our staff went over to the house, and they used the company cell phone hotspot to get her in. And then a couple months later, you know, the jetpack started coming out, and that's when we went ahead and loaned them the tablet and the jetpack. And now I could say that for Lupe, one of her favorite Zoom classes is karaoke, and she loves to sing to Lady Gaga Poker Face. There was even a day where we were there so happy with her. I see Lupe giving her sister high five. You know, we actually did a breakout room, and Lupe did a little Zumba lesson for some of the staff. And to be honest with you, it's just a blessing with the jetpack and the iPads. It's now reconnecting some of the participants, and we're going to continue going. We have more to loan out. We have more to work for, and the successes just keep coming every single day. So again, Maria Cisneros and Maria Sanchez, thank you guys so much for coming out. We appreciate everything, and we're here to help you guys if you guys need anything. Okay.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you guys.
Thank you so much. That's all I have.
Thank you so much, everyone from the ARC of Ventura County, for coming and sharing your successes and your stories, and also your strategy. So another strategy from providers, if you're out there, to be able to help and make sure that everybody finds a way to connect. That is the common thread that we are hearing through all of this. It's about individualizing things and finding the right fit and the right match for everybody when it comes to technology. We do have one more poll question, one final poll question, and would really appreciate if everybody spends a moment to answer this. This will help us as we continue to build the resource library and find out from all of you, what needs do you have, or what is preventing you from using technology? Is it assistance to understand what you need? Is it the cost to buy the technology, to maintain the technology? Where to buy the technology, assistance using the devices, or unsure that you would know how to use it if you were to get it? Okay, we have about 40% of the vote in. We will spend a little bit more time here. We do appreciate your responses. All right. With just a couple more seconds to go here, we have about 54% of everyone's response. So thank you for that. We'll go ahead and close the poll and post it. All right, so definitely cost to buy the technology is one of the main reasons that prevents people from using the technology, followed by the cost to maintain, and then the assistance once you have it, assistance to know what you need, and the assistance once you obtain the devices or technology that you have gotten. So thank you all for that. That was part of why we are here today, is hopefully to be able to bring some of those ideas to everyone based on the experiences of both people who are using alternative services, as well as providers who are customizing and individualizing alternative services for people. Do know that there are a lot of resources that are out there, and don't be shy. That was the other thing that has been a common theme and thread through all our presenters. Don't be shy to reach out. Don't be shy to talk to these large companies, and don't be shy to to ask for the help that you need. So there are many more resources out there than those that were shared here today. So if you access the slides, everything will be up on the Disability Thrive Initiative webpage, and you will be able in these coming weeks to access the slides as well as other resources that we have found. So I'm not going to go in great detail into all of these slides, but I want you to know that this is there for you to access. So if you are looking for low-cost internet and phone, there are both California and federal programs that can help you to get this, as you see here on this slide. Next slide. As the presenters have mentioned, there is also, if you reach out to internet providers in your area, they might also have programs that you might not be aware of that will be able to help with internet and phone. Next slide. Device loan programs. I know that was really, really popular when when our presenters were sharing about that lending library. Now, remember, every regional center is different, but that's not the only lending library that's out there. There are other, as you can see here, 3 different device loan programs that you can reach out to that you might possibly be eligible for. Then also what to do, you need that training once you get it, right? We saw that was one of the popular poll items. So there are, like, we had the Tech Toolbox tour, which was wonderful, and we appreciate the presenter for doing that. But there are other technology guides and resources out to help you learn what to do once you get that technology. And once again, just don't be shy to ask. Next slide. And then software. There is a lot of free software out there to help you have greater access. As was also mentioned earlier, sometimes some people are dependent on others to get their devices working and to be able to fully use them. So there's things out there, software that is out there to help people to have more control over their own devices. Communication tools has also been key. During the pandemic, there has been even more need for communication support and assistive technology, and there are great resources out there at varying cost levels to be able to support that. Next slide. And then if you don't qualify for some of those other programs that were already mentioned, there are also device and assistive technology financial loans out there. If, like I said, their other options weren't what, you weren't eligible for some of the other options that we have already mentioned. So do know, just don't go down one road, and if that road doesn't work out, give up. If that road doesn't work out, keep reaching out until you find what you're looking for. Next slide. And then there's us. Please see us as a resource. We aren't an expert in technology per se, but we are here as a resource for alternative services. So if technology is part of your need in order to be able to have full access to the alternative services, we want to help you connect to the resources that you need. And maybe that's connecting to other providers out there who have already done this, like the couple of providers who were spotlighted today in our webinar. So please reach out to us, and there's several different ways that you can do that. One way is this Friday we have a lunch and learn coming up, and we'll continue to have these following webinars so that it can be more of an open discussion where brainstorming can happen and we can help create connections. So if you have ideas coming off a webinar that you have done and that you want to share, we encourage you to come there to help to share that with the greater community. Or if you're in someone who's leaving one of these webinars thinking, oh, I really need to ask some more questions or need to get some support with this, we welcome you as well so that we can help make these connections. We have on our website also the resource library, which will continue to be updated with resources as they become available. And you can sign up for our email list so that you find out when more things have been updated and are coming out. And then finally, say you need some just one-on-one support. I need some one-on-one support to get my alternative services that I need, or get them individualized, or to be able to provide better alternative services to others, then we encourage you to submit a request ticket for that, and we will make sure that you get the one-on-one consultation you need for alternative services. Next slide. So finally, our next webinar is coming up in 2 weeks. It is Meeting Individual Needs Through Adaptable Alternative Services, and we hope to see everybody there. The registration link is now live, so if you go to the website, you will be able to register for the next webinar. It's at webinar.disabilitythriveinitiative.org if you want to go straight to that registration page. And there's going to be a lot of great information shared that day. Finally, we want to just thank you all for being here. And if you want to see the links to our website again, or just send us an email, maybe you just have a general question that you need answered, we encourage you to email us or to give us a call at 916-238-8811, and we will be sure to get connected with you and get you headed in the right direction. I want to thank once again all of our presenters for their help and sharing their stories today, and thank all of you in the audience for being here. See you in 2 weeks. Oh, and when you leave, you will see a Zoom survey, and we appreciate all feedback on that survey. It will help us to be able to improve the experience at future webinars. Take care.